Welcome everyone. Hello world travel enthusiasts. I hope you are having a nice Friday, and I hope that you can, whatever takeaways you get from this call, you can take them to your weekend and actually plan something. So welcome everyone. We have Pragyan and Michael here today, and they'll be giving their introductions as travelers, globetrotters, perspective in a while. Yeah, Michael, why don't you go ahead? So the format of this call, before Michael starts with his introduction, is that I'm going to be asking them a few questions, and then Pragyan and Michael are going to take turns to answer those. We don't have a PPT. We have a few pictures we can share, but we don't have a presentation. This is going to be a question and answer format of call. So if you have any questions in the meanwhile, you can drop them in the comments, and Ananya, I would like you to monitor those questions, and if any of those aren't answered, you can quickly DM them to me so that I can bring them up, or people can just unmute and bring them up at the end where we have a Q&A session. So Michael, over to you. Why don't you give us a brief introduction?
All right. So I've actually been traveling since I was a little kid. I remember unstable internet. So I'm going to drop the video. Anyways, I used to annoy my sister, who's like 6 years older than me, when we are on 2-3 day long car rides in the back of the, sitting in the back seats. So I got my sort of traveling pretty little. And then, in fact, I got my first international or true international trip when I was 16 years old, when I got to go to school up in Canada with 19 other international folks for a week. And literally it was a school in the woods around environmental education and that. And I've actually been able to go on to nearly 40 countries, and then I've actually lived and worked or gone to school in 10 more. And so actually traveling is something that I absolutely love. And especially these days, since I got to be a little bit more cost conscious, I do something that I just call slow travel. And so that's how I bring my cheap aspect here.
Thanks for that, Michael. That's an amazing journey, and we would definitely want to have a conversation with your sister, just so that she can, share the drama with us of dealing with you as a kid. Okay, over to you, Pragyan. Why don't you give us an introduction?
So yes, So hello. I started this all is going around quite recently, because when I was a kid, I would go to my maternal uncle's place, which is 300 kilometers from here, but that I will not consider as traveling. The main thing started when I left my previous job. It was back in 2018 December. I left my previous job, and then I just thought I should do something. And as because I had really low self-esteem, low confidence, I thought I should do something that really just disrupts everything that is happening around me. So I just left my job. I went to Vietnam. I was there for 3 months. I was backpacking the whole country, and it was really cheap, because I didn't have any money. So the whole budget, including flights, it was less than 50,000 rupees, which is quite a feat for me. And then I came back. I went to Bhutan. It was a bike trip, and then Arunachal and other places happened. Small things happened, but then 2020 came, so everything stopped. So, and then I again started traveling, and after my marriage, I went to Bali. It was for a 1-month trip, and also again it was super cheap for me. It was including everything. It was 1.5 lakhs. Again, the budget looks a lot, but it was for a whole month. So 1.5 including everything. I did that, and again, Vietnam happening again in next year. So that is coming up. So yes, once I started traveling, it was hard to stop, and it is definitely once the bug cuts you, it's really hard to get it away. So that's happening. So yeah. That's
so this is your second visit to Vietnam, and do you have a specific agenda this time around? I remember you sharing with me that the last time you went there, you actually taught people, and English was the subject that you taught people.
Yes.
So do you have anything in mind this time around, or you're just going to bring it?
The major thing is is like last time I stayed with the monks for 4 days. It was I have a background in martial arts, so like that that whole monastery is like practices their own martial art called Fat Kwang Kwen. So like this time also I have got in touch with them, and I'll be staying in two of their monasteries for a longer period, so that Barsha also can experience the monastery life, and also that martial arts she can also experience it. So I've been friends with the kids there since then, and so yeah, so that is one of the major thing, and also I'm looking for more homestays that offers this like teaching English thing. So yeah, so
Okay.
that might also happen, but the monastery thing is final. So we'll be staying there for
Perfect.
yeah 2-3
That's
weeks minimum.
amazing. That's amazing. And I hope the stay at monastery is like very, very peaceful
Oof.
to you and everything that you expect it to be. Going to my first question, whenever you are like thinking of planning a travel or a trip, the first thing is where do we go? What's the destination? So what are some key factors to consider when you're selecting a travel destination while on a budget? Pragyan, do you want to go first?
Yes, sure. Sure, I can go. So like the main thing is always the budget. So I always look for places where like the visa cost is less, where the cost of living is less, because like if as I'm just starting out, I cannot plan for a European trip because the flight alone costs a lot. And also you have to have a lot of backup, like bank balance and stuff. So there's a lot of things that comes out. So for me, the budget is always the important part. So I just check like what is my like what could be my per day cost, and then I just go ahead with it. And also like try to make the trip longer, because as Michael said, like slow traveling is the best way. If you're on a budget, if you're tight on schedule, then you add up cost a lot easier. So like I see if I can plan for a longer trip and then divide everything and then check what are the places that I can cover. So yeah, that's how I choose.
Perfect. Michael, over to you.
Sure. I'm at a later stage of what I would consider inexpensive traveling than Pragyan. But in the beginning, very much so like Pragyan. It's just like, I just want to go someplace I've never been, and how can I do it? So actually, when I was younger, it would just be me doing car trips, sleeping in the car, just go to national parks, go visit friends or relatives, and 3 states over, which is the United States. So that's like a 2-3 day drive. A little later on, especially when I got into say living around the Boston area, and I could actually be able to come across these $500 round trip flights from Boston to like Frankfurt or Paris for Europe. That actually started to give me some of the inexpensive entries into European trips. I think Pragyan and I will talk about basically volunteerism, basically doing some volunteer work a little later on. That's how I actually started being able to extend my time and get really, really cheap. But again, that'll be a little bit later. These days, when I go for my travel, it's almost kind of like I'm traveling for a purpose. I was able to get a week's trip back to Bangkok, and that was mainly because just a moment. Oh, should I? How should I? Oh, how should I? Okay. Bye bye. Whoops.
Nice.
Oh, come on. Where's the video? Okay, if the video ever works and says, yeah, I got, just locals bringing some really awesome chicken, chicken and lettuce. Yeah. Yeah, very, very, very friendly. Yeah. Yeah, but really these days, as I mentioned, I travel more for a purpose. I got to have a week in Bangkok, and it was more just, I knew that I could do an inexpensive hotel. I was able to get a cheap plane, and I went because I wanted to eat Thai food. That's one of my favorite foods. Because something I've learned in my travel is if you travel to India, you don't go there for the Thai food. You don't go there for the Chinese food. You go there for the Indian food. You go to Thailand for the Thai food. You go to Europe for European food. Don't eat the other stuff because it can be actually obnoxiously expensive not eating local food. Other reasons why I might be traveling is I'm going to Manila end of October for my brother's son's wedding. So really, my travel, I try to do what I can, be inexpensive against whatever my purpose is for that trip.
Right, got it. So the takeaways for us would be stay for a longer duration, eat local food because that's cheap. Don't try to eat like other cuisines in a country where they have their own local cuisines, specialties. And if you have a purpose that can help you financially, that's even better. Okay, moving on to the next question. If I don't have a purpose to go to a destination and I just have like a bucket list of cities or something like that, do you recommend any resources to research like affordable travel options? What Vidya Krishnan, can I please, Vidya, hi, can you go on mute, please? Okay, yes. So what resources or tools do you recommend for researching like affordable travel options? Do you have any secret tricks?
For me, not really so much anymore because my life is kind of structured around my family here in Taiwan and my kids in the United States. So the freedom of really having open travel and traveling on the road for like a month to even 5 months a year, either on my own or especially would be awesome was with my family. Those times are actually kind of gone for me, at least for a while longer. And stepping back, I've gone to many of the places that I want to go. And the places that I want to go now for, say, like do extended periods of time in Africa or South America, it's not really practical because, again, my family's here in Taiwan and I've got my kids in the United States. So even if I just try to go for a 1 month in South America, that means like I got to say bye to my family here and there. So what's happening now is my wife and I are working towards planning all these trips, frankly, for when I retire in 10 more years. So Accelerant's got me for another decade, but then after that, forget it. I am on the road, disconnected. So that said, now I hope Pragyan's actually got that short list of all the stuff that they want to go, and they can tell us about their tips and tricks.
Cool. So like what I've noticed, like it is easily the main things that are like the whole budget can be like divided into accommodation, transportation, and food. So like if you like divide all the things, then you get like what you really need and what you are just like spending extra money on it. So like for accommodation, you can go for hostels if you want to like save a lot of money. And if not, you can go for Airbnb stuff, which are comparatively cheaper than hotels. Hotels always charge a lot. So like if you're going solo or if you're going with a partner who is like really like okay to get okay to understand that it is just the sleeping that you are going to do in a like in a place. So if you can manage that, then the whole accommodation part comes down like 1/4, 1/5 of the whole budget.
And I'm guessing that the experience is also very different when you go for this option, right? Rather than staying at a Marriott or some other hospitality conglomerate, you can just like choose to stay with your local people, Airbnb, as Subhi mentions in her comments. So yeah, that's a good option.
And also like there's other options like couchsurfing, which we can get into like later because that's a huge topic. But couchsurfing is one of the platforms where you can stay with a local for free. So that also we can delve into later. The next part comes food. If you can choose, like as Michael said, if you can choose the local stuff instead of going to what you usually eat at your country, then will like reduce the thing like cost dramatically. Because like if you're going to a different country and then you are searching for Indian food, then you are just searching for an international cuisine. So like that adds up. So go over to local site and then things will be much cheaper. And for the transportation, I usually prefer like I see if they allow us to drive their motorcycle or cars. That will because like while I am traveling, I pay only like 200 to 300 rupees per day for for a scooter, and like 2 people can accommodate there, and the oil prices are always there. But at the same time, if you're like going for a cab or something, then it will be like 10 times more. So go. That's what I searched. It's like if they allow that, and then you can just reduce it. So like accommodation, food and transportation. So and the flight
You know
part,
what's
there's
my policy
more.
for transportation? I just find
Yes.
local friends and I go with them. I'm like, you are taking me places. So I save my transportation cost altogether there. Anyway, so we have a few follow-up questions in our comments. First question was from Mukul about whether vegan food is expensive, more expensive. And I saw Pragyan share a comment. I think if you can also like, if you enjoy eating fruits and you go for like buying local fruits, I think that could also like save a lot of costs, especially with breakfast and 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock snack meals that you want to generally have. You could just like go for fruits, locally available fruits. You get to taste a variety of fruits when you are like outside of your own city, and it's also cheap to buy food. Any follow-ups for Mukul when it comes to vegan food, Michael, Pragyan?
No, like if you can go for accommodation with kitchen, that would be the easiest one. You can also save a lot of money.
Yeah,
like,
you can just like cook for yourself. And, yeah, perfect. Okay, there's also this question about
actually for Mukul, and actually kind of relates back to cost and the options, is the local culture actually does affect what kind of food is going to be there. Frankly, say you go to Malaysia, forget vegan. All right, it's sauces and meat. But say like you go into Japan, Taiwan, where you have, say, more of your Buddhist Taoist culture, there are going to be the vegetarian restaurants. So you can actually lean a little bit more towards the veg side. Not like for Piyush and I being in Kuala Lumpur, and their veg sandwich is always a Subway, which I cannot stand. And also one last thing regarding research. I've actually been having some fun with even using ChatGPT to come up with some pretty unique scenarios. Actually for planning, because in fact my upcoming 2 weeks through Portugal and Spain is actually running off of the ChatGPT plan for some stuff, but that stuff I can share a little later. Anyways,
plus one to that, Michael, I also did a quick ChatGPT research about what should I be doing in New York if I am there only for 2 days, and it gave me a wonderful list, and I felt like I've seen almost all of New York, missed a few things here and there, but ChatGPT really helped me plan my 2 days in New York. So yeah, plus one to that suggestion. Okay, moving to next questions. I know there are a lot of questions coming in the comments, but we're going to stick to the schedule and try to tackle the questions later in the call. So what are your go-to strategies for finding and booking the most economical flights? Because that's one of like the most expensive part is booking flights. And then you can adjust everywhere else, but how do you find economical flights?
Okay, should I go?
Yeah, Pragyan, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Go for it.
So yeah, so that is one of the most trickiest part, and it is really hard to answer, but I'll share what I usually follow. Like, if I can share my screen, I'll just give you like a 2-minute demo of what I do, which is
30 seconds. You have 30 seconds
okay.
to answer this question.
I'll try. So like what I do, I just always go for kiwi.com. Kiwi is one of the websites where you can actually check for flights without giving in dates, without giving in anything, and then you can go for like give filters there. So if I'm checking for like Guwahati to Hanoi, and if I do not like, one second, the windows are there. Okay, so like if I even like do not give anything, and also I will just go for like total Vietnam. If I'm not sure which airport I'll be going and from where I'll be going, I'll just choose India, Vietnam, 2 people. I'll just even delete the package, done, economy one way. I'll just go for search. Then it will show me that you can like filter it the cheapest one. It is showing that from Kochi to Ho Chi Minh, it is one of the cheapest tickets from 1566, 65 or 66. But yes, you do not rely on fully on this data, but I usually rely on the date here. because in Skyscanner or in Booking or like any website or like in Google Flights, you always have to give the date, then only you'll find the rate, and only like a week window you'll get to see. But here they'll search for the whole year, and then you see that for 9 months it is one of the cheapest. So I'll just check here and then go to sites like Skyscanner or something where you can just check the dates. But I usually go for Skyscanner or Vigo. Vigo is a better option. I usually feel they give better results because they and also, like, if possible, like, skip the Make My Trip websites because they also charge their own thing. But Skyscanner's Vigo, they do not. So you can just directly check their original prices. So that's how I go. Like, I go for TV, but at the same time, you can also, there's a lot of options how you can just check. I'm just giving you the basics. And then you can go for all these filters that you want to. So that's how I do. And then I get the date, and then the date really helps me plan the other things. Because the date choosing is important. It's like, unless you have some business trip that you have to attend, if you're going for travel, you can just use this.
So if date is not an issue for you, if date is not one of the major filters for you, you can always go to kiwi.com and check when the cheapest flights are, and then accordingly plan the rest of your trip. So
yes,
that's a good option. And I think with flexible work hours here, that's also a very good option for us at Axelerant, because you can plan your leaves whenever you want. You don't have to depend on your manager to approve your leave. So that's nice. Michael, you want to take this question as well? Economical flights?
Yeah, sure. In the beginning, I would be doing very similar to what Pragyan is doing. These days, I stick more towards specific plan programs, especially for airlines, being Star Alliance. My primary airline is something that's called United Airlines out of the United States. And so I would probably say 90% of my flights are Star Alliance. And so because of that, I tend to actually just stick with Google Flights. But the one thing that I do is, even though that I've got to start with dates, if I pop open the Google Flights and I say, go ahead and give me something, one of the options that does come up is the date grid, I think it is. And that actually gives me capability to start kind of going back and forth and looking around. So you've got two different directions on being able to try to find some effective cost flights. But again, I'm at a slightly different stage for flying over Pragyan. And part of the reason is because I'm looking specifically for Star Alliance because I've got flight benefits that go along with it.
Right. Perfect. So let's move to the next question, which is about choosing your comfort stay, right? So how do you balance cost and comfort when choosing your stay? Meghna, can we go on mute, please? Yeah.
All right. Again, just keep in mind, I'm at a little bit later stage of Pragyan, but in the beginning, I remember when I was doing my initial traveling Southeast Asia, and I remember I was on a $15 a day, hotel budget. I was so excited when I had a little bit more money, and I went to 25. But frankly, for that stuff, this is even sort of in the beginning of when Airbnb was first coming out. And so Airbnb at that time was still a viable resource to be able to find inexpensive stays. And then, of course, it was the couch surfing option, which really is the freebie, but just be kind and, bring some fruit or bring a little gift to kind of share, or make sure you help clean up around the house. But these days, I'm pretty surprised. I am able to get apartments through booking.com. And I've done apartments in Africa, throughout Europe, even here in Taiwan, and other places around the world. And part of the reason why I actually like the apartments is because I can tend to do a week stay at an apartment, which has got everything that I need: the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, the TV, a Wi-Fi, and washing machine. And then they just go walk into the grocery store. And so booking.com for doing say 1 week to 1 month long apartments is kind of my fallback when I don't go for staying at a Marriott property. Airbnb is falling through, things like that. Because really, where I used to be very adamant about Airbnb, now I don't touch Airbnb for 1 or 2 night stays. It's just not worth it, I feel. For say like my first night or two in a new location, I actually tend to be a Marriott stay because it's like I want to arrive comfortable, I want to depart comfortable. But frankly, in between for the next week and a half, I'm really looking forward to backpacking Europe with Juan. You know, us being old people with backpacks and staying at the hostels. I'm like really super excited about that.
Yeah, so if it's a short stay, like for 1 or 2 days, go for a hotel, go for comfort. And if it's a longer duration, consider an apartment or an Airbnb, because then you can take care of a lot of other requirements like the kitchen or washing your clothes, and just walking to a grocery store becomes like so much more easy. Perfect. Correct. Pragyan, any additions?
Yeah, it's like for here, like in here, I'd like to explain what like couchsurfing is, because like if people are like really new to the concept, then it will be much helpful for them. Couchsurfing is so like couchsurfing is not just a free place that you are going to stay. You are just going into a local's place as a guest. So you are like first thing is that people misunderstand, like they will get like hotel-like experience or like hotel-like service in a couchsurfing situation, but it is more like you are staying at someone else's place. So you are just being kind to them, and then like starting conversations with them, or like helping them cook or helping them clean the house. But in exchange, they are letting you stay at their place. That's the whole concept. It's not like a hotel or something. They are just letting you stay at their own place in their spare bed or in their spare. So like if you're a person who can just open up, or at least in a medium level, if you can just have conversations with them, then couchsurfing would be a great option, because like no one is expecting any money from you, because like if someone is charging, then they are banned from the community. So they're pretty strict that there's no monetary transactions, just unless they are giving some other service, maybe like being a guide or something. But for accommodation part, there's no monetary transaction. So if you're a person like that, then couchsurfing you can try. For Airbnb,
and how do you try this? Is there like a website? Is there like an app? Or
yes. So like couchsurfing.com, you can just go there, open profile and start hosting people, because like couchsurfing community is also adamant that you need to have like good reviews so that they will let you stay, because you can be a murderer. So yeah, you can be in anything, right? So like if you have like good reviews that you have let people stay at your place, or you have met other couchsurfers who have left good reviews, then those reviews will help you get a good accommodation, and people will let you stay at your place. So yes, thank you, Surabhi. So yes, couchsurfing people can definitely go. And Airbnb, yes, Airbnb can be cheap, but at the same time, if you're like hotels will be much better if you're going for a shorter duration. For example, like if you like we were in Bali, the cheapest we got was 700 rupees per day, and the most expensive was 11 or 1200 rupees, which also had a swimming pool. So you can get lucky with all these things. So you just have to give time. You have to give time.
What I'm hearing is, the more you do your research, the better options are available. You just have to have the wish and will to do the research, which I generally don't have. So I find friends who can do that for me. So yes, Michael.
Yeah, actually, there were some security implications there in the chat channel, and I gotta admit, I had more problems with sketchy Airbnb hosts and facilities than couch surfing. Couch surfing, yeah, you might get some very esoteric people, but generally everyone was pretty cool, no matter what country, where I was, what was going on. But Airbnb, especially in places where it's not supposed to be or technically Airbnb is not legal, that's when I started having the problems. And it's also one reason why over the years I started kind of shifting to utilizing booking.com as my fallback.
Got it. That's amazing. Okay, moving to the next question. I know I'm going to benefit from this question a lot, because I can never like decide how much to carry, what to carry. So the question is, what are some packing hacks that can save both money and hassle? The hassle part is like more important for me because I always have 10 outfits for 2 days of travel and I don't know how to pack them. So what are some like packing hacks?
So yes, I can go. What I've seen, like all the cheaper flights that I've taken, they have only like a 7 kg limit, which is like a golden thing for me. Because I also know that I do not need a lot of things, but if I have the option, then I might pack a lot of things. And like especially I have a lot of electronics. So I just pack a lot of electronics, and then the clothes I don't care a lot. But the electronics, they get heavy pretty easily. So that 7 kg limit really helps me to actually think like what actually I needed. And like for example, like Vietnam trip, I was there for 3 months, right? So I had only one backpack because there also I chose like Thai Air Asia, which has the 7 kg limit, and if you want more, you have to pay more. And I didn't have any money. So that 7 kg limit, like the bag was 1.5 kg. So that's gone. I had
That's
like
why, yeah.
yeah, I had my
Yeah.
laptop, I had my camera, I had all the cables and all. So like with everything excluding the clothes, it was coming 6 kg or 6.2 kg or something. So I had
Okay.
no space to like for any clothes. So what I did, I just chose the bare minimum and I just wore it. I thought if I need any other
Wow.
clothes, I'll just buy there. I'll just go for a cheap place and I'll just buy a t-shirt or something. But all the other clothes, I just took like one long pant, one half pant, 2 sets of underwear, 3 t-shirts. I wore everything with a jacket, like a half jacket. So so the weight thing is managed, the cloth thing is managed. And once I reached Ho Chi Minh City, it was super hot. It was like sweaty. I just ran to the bathroom and I just stripped, and people were looking at me like, what is it? What he's doing? But I just stripped and
Where are
put
your
everything in
clothes?
the bag. Yeah. And then I was just in one t-shirt and I was done. So yeah, so like that's how I have done. And those 3 months I didn't buy anything. I didn't buy anything extra. I just uh wore what I need and wash the rest and then cycle through it. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Very. So the suggestion that I really like is that you go shop local. So +1 for shopping always. Michael, you want to share some suggestions here?
Sure. I definitely pack lighter than I used to. I remember one of my first 1 month trips to Europe for traveling around. It's like I'd go for a conference and then I'd go bum around for the next 3 weeks. But for this trip, I actually went with a big backpack. And I'm like, after the third or last, or basically the last day of the conference, I'm like, do I really want to schlep around Europe with this big backpack? And this is like one of those early on travel backpacks. So you had like the big backpack and then the little backpack on the back. Well, that little backpack was like a really little day pack. And I basically went to the post office, shipped everything in the big backpack in a box back home, and it just left myself with basically two underwear, basically just 2 changes of clothes, a light jacket, and a couple of books. And this is before iPads. I might have had a Kindle. No, if I had 2 books, then there was no Kindle. So really, I am literally talking about a small backpack, and I traveled around Europe for the next 3 weeks. Sure, I was washing my clothes every night in the sink, but hey, every morning I'm putting on clean clothes, and it really was one of my favorite trips because the bag was so small, so light that every morning I'd get up, I'd go down for breakfast, get done, go up, finish packing, and then put my stuff on and just wherever I felt like going in the city or to the location, it was no problem because everything was with me. And
Right.
so be able to take advantage of serendipitous moments. In actually kind of planning for this conversation, when it comes to say planning for the weekend, in many ways, my core just comes down to basically say if I want to go away for a weekend, say like 3 nights, it just comes down to actually just just 2 changes, say like underwear, the pants, and change of the shirts. The pants pants don't really need to be changed, and we're only changing the
Mm.
shirt, especially when we're sticking around other people, just so it looks like that we are changing shirts. Okay, so or at least that we're changing our clothes. So so I actually just really only have like, I'm going for the weekend, even a long weekend, and I really just only have two changes of clothes. I'm going for a
Yeah.
week. I just only add in one more change of clothes. I go for a month.
Right.
I just only add in one more change of clothes. So actually, for a month, I really only have 4 changes of clothes, which really means, okay, for a month it's like 3 pairs of pants. Okay, maybe 4 pairs of underwear. You know, basically everything you're leaving on the trip, you got something on, and you just only
Yeah.
just need one, 2, or 3 additional changes of clothes.
Right.
Definitely the weather of where you're going affects. I live here in Taiwan. I'm actually wearing shorts and I got my short t-shirt, but say I go back to the States, it's already starting to get cold. I'm going to have, long clothes, long shirt. I might want to have my my puffy jacket. So yeah, that kind of keeps it from being able to tie down. Electronics, I don't think I don't travel with the 15 kilos worth of camera equipment anymore. I'm extremely happy about that. But
Yeah.
still, I don't travel with more than what I really need when I can help it. Because really, frankly, most everybody has got a credit card, and there's this thing called the store wherever we go. And depending upon which country you're in, you might still have access to Amazon or Shopee or whatever is the local equivalent of
Yeah.
the market.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it's actually, I think, pack way less than what you need, and then just pick up stuff along the way. Because if nothing else, that's how I get, that's how I used to get my cool shirts and things like that.
Yeah.
Now I just go visit Uniqlo.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm hearing from both of you is that we should be making conscious choices when it comes to packing stuff, and just like take the bare minimum, because traveling light is like, it's super comfortable. So I agree with you there. And then what, again, the other thing that I'm hearing is whatever you need, you can always buy it like local. So you don't have to like worry about carrying everything with you. You can always choose to buy essentials once you reach your destination. Okay, so moving on to the next section, we have been speaking about finding like local options for food, but are there any like tips when you actually are on ground, how to identify where do you want to like have food? Because the issue with having local foods that I have faced is, it isn't always the best, and what like really helps me is my friends knowing my taste and telling me that, what, you are going to like this. But if that option isn't available, if friends aren't around to guide you, how do you choose where do you want to eat when you are trying to eat locally?
Google Maps. Google Maps 4.5 stars or greater.
Yeah. Yes.
And if I don't find something that looks interesting off of that, then fine, I'll go down to 4.2 stars or greater. It's a bit yeah, it's kind of, that is really what I'm looking at. There is always the go walking the local neighborhoods, and that's one reason I kind of like the slow travel. Is you're already walking around and you find things that look kind of interesting, and it's like if you find something that looks kind of interesting, most of the time I will kind of look it up, and as long as it's not abysmal reviews, and it looks like I can probably be able to eat that stuff, I'll go for trying it.
Yeah.
But I admit, we've had some awesome food brought over to us this evening, and I'm like, yes, I would love to eat it, but I'm pretty sure all of it would make me very, very sick, so I don't touch it. So I just hand it off to all the other adults here. Yeah, Pragyan.
Yeah. Anything to add again?
Yeah, so like, as usually stay with the locals or near the locals, I'll just ask them for recommendations.
Yeah.
That's the easiest part. Like for example, in Bali, because that's the most recent one, we found there's something called nasi jingo. Nasi jingo is like a coconut leaf like wrapped around rice, noodles, chicken, and there's a lot of things, and you can actually have it.
And it's very fulfilling, right? It's one meal, it's cheap, but it's very, very fulfilling. So you find those like unique little things.
And that is 25 rupees, 25 to 30 rupees.
Yeah.
So it was super cheap. Like and a lot of tourists do not know about it, because like those are sold in a really local shop, which finishes up by 10 a.m. or something. So you just have to walk around, as Michael said, because like you see like where the locals actually go, because
Yeah.
follow the crowd, follow the local crowd, and you'll get some really good options there. Because that's where you see how the culture is, how the food is. Because if you're again like if you're looking for restaurants, cafes, you'll only see the posh part. But if you're going to a new place, you still have to learn what they are like. So going local always helps. So that's how I save money and also learn about them.
Yep. So thanks for that, Michael and Pragyan. Keeping the time in mind, I'm going to ask one question. I'm going to skip the rest of the questions in our list, and then we are going to open it for everyone to answer. So I request both Michael and Pragyan to take the next 5 minutes for this question, so that there's ample time for people to ask questions directly to you. So the question that like really made sense from the rest of the list to me was, how do you prepare for and manage unforeseen expenses during the travel itself? It's very unpredictable sometimes, right?
Michael, you can go. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's usually just have a little bit of cash set aside and a spare credit card. But the other thing too is it's possible to get mugged. It's possible to just lose your wallet. So before the trip, just make sure you take photos of everything and either email them to yourselves or throw them up on your photo album, something like that. And when I talk about keeping your funds separate, it's not like, okay, keep this $10 bill next to this $10 bill in your wallet, but actually put that spare credit card, that spare cash, someplace else on your body or someplace else in your packaging. And so just in case the big thing goes away, you can at least be able to handle whatever that little emergency is. And also maybe if you are looking to maybe travel, say, little trips throughout the year, give consideration to annual travel insurance. And the reason being is, weirdly, annual travel insurance is actually cheaper than, say, a fancy single trip worth of travel insurance. For myself and my kids, I have annual travel insurance for trips, I think, up to 90 days, and it does not even cost me $500 a year. And so as long as I'm more than 100 kilometers away from my home, I am covered for a whole bunch of interesting conditions. But say if I went and did my 2-week vacation with Juan in Europe and I bought travel insurance just for that, that's probably $250. And my coverage is not as good because actually one of the weird things is these days I worry about my rental car costs because cars are getting expensive and, well, driving quality just hasn't improved all that much, or maybe I'm just getting worse. So I actually worry about I worry about having a big expense incurred. So I do ensure that I have travel insurance these days.
Perfect. Pragyan?
Yeah, for me, like I usually take like a little amount of cash in hand, and the rest I do not keep it with me. And also at the same time, I just divide the cash in different parts of like what as Michael said, like one here, one in the back pocket, one under the socks if you want to. As long as it can get away with you can get away with the day. But yeah, there are things that might happen, and it's hard. Like, but at the same time, you can just plan a few things ahead, like make copies. Like I have like nothing else to add because these are like unforeseen things, and you just have to like experience it and then think of some ways how to deal with it. But yes, like keeping everything online really helps. You can just get a copy and like know where your embassy is, where your country's embassy is. Just
I don't know. That way. Actually, one practical tip that I can give is certainly when I go into country. Actually, years ago, I used to say, "Hey, give me $1,000 US of the local currency," and I'd stash that everywhere. These days, I know that my ATM card works wherever I go, And
Correct.
so generally when I land at wherever it is I'm going, I get the $100 US equivalent. Okay. That cash goes in my wallet. My ATM card actually gets put aside with the backup credit card. So just in case that my wallet does disappear, I'm only losing that limited amount of cash. And guess what? I can still get more because my ATM card is not kept
Still,
with my
yeah.
money or with the wallet.
Yep. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks a lot for that, Michael. I open it up to our audience to ask any questions. Please raise your hands and go for it. Billy, Arzu, Pratik, your trials coming up.
Just a question. This travel insurance, suppose we need to use it. How does it actually work? I mean, where should we take this insurance?
Sorry, when you don't expect that to ensure that it should be work, it's not a good scenario. Okay, I would say no, it should not work. Keep it in that way.
I mean, in the eventuality.
Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't understand how it works. I mean, I bought insurance because you need that to get the visa.
Well, in some ways, it's like you're using the insurance because, say, you happen to get sick and you go to the hospital, and it maybe just costs a little bit more than you expected. Actually, Juan came to visit me in the United States for Chinese New Year this past winter. They went sledding on the snow with my son Jurisis. They hit too big of a bump. Next thing you know, they crunched their back a little bit and injured their stomach and had to go to the hospital. So while yes, we went to the hospital and paid this big bill, we just turn around and submit the receipts and the medical report back to the insurance company for the travel insurance, and they turn around and reimburse us.
Oh, okay. That's how it works. So you pay upfront and then.
But there's also another nice thing, and it's actually kind of one reason why I don't fly the cheap airlines so much anymore. Because when you have the time but you don't have the money, your schedule is by other people, as in the cheap buses, the cheap airlines, and things like that. Me, I don't have as much time anymore, and I have other responsibilities that says, this is the slot of time that I can go to do something. So I need the plane to be sure that it's going to take off at that time, land at this time, so that I can do something. So that's one reason why I kind of go for choosing the Star Alliance partners. And why that matters is, say, especially if you're flying the cheap airlines, a 3, 5, 7, 24-hour delay is not uncommon for the cheap carriers. Well, when you have the travel insurance, most of the time when your flight's delayed more than 3 hours, you are open to have compensation. And most people don't realize that is something that you can apply for. It may not help you at that moment, but at least when you get past that situation, or you can call up your travel agent, or call up the travel insurance and let them know, hey, I'm in a flight delay situation for this extended period. Just keep track of all your receipts and you can get reimbursement for some stuff.
Okay.
Right. Arzu, you had a question?
Yes. I have one question. This is something coming from my experience. So when I recently visited Vietnam, what I noticed was when we were paying in USD, they were charging us more. But when we were paying in Vietnamese dong, the price difference was there. So, what is your suggestion when it comes to currency exchange, and how should we approach it? And what sort of amount we should keep with ourselves for the safety and keeping everything in mind?
Can I? Yeah. So the first thing that you can do is get a forex card. That would because if you're using your own ATM debit card, it can be like a global card or something, but the banks charge a lot. The percentage is a huge thing. If you're going for a forex card, it takes only 100 rupees or something from the bank, but it is like a prepaid card. You have to put a good amount there, and then you can use that amount in the countries. So the best thing is that when you're using a Forex card or a FTC card, foreign travel card, SBI calls it. So like if you swipe it for any transaction, the transaction charge is zero. You don't have to pay anything extra for that. And for the ATMs also, if you use those cards, then the transaction charge is really less. So that would be one of the ways that you can save money, because like when you are giving like a USD to a different country, then they obviously will be like those shops will have to take that money to a bank and then do the change. So they usually charge more for that. So if you're doing transactions on a totally local currency, that really helps. So FTC card might help you with those transactions, or like Forex card. Every bank has it.
Yeah, I would like to continue on, because I remember going to school in Russia, and that was like one of my last times in which I go for getting a big fat packet of cash in rupees from my bank. But the following years, I started realizing that at least my MasterCards and my Visas would be accepted more often internationally. And when I am doing, I'm using, say, like my American dollar credit card, but I'm like buying something in baht or Taiwan dollars or in rupees. Just when you're charging, accept the local currency. Do not take the conversion to your native currency at that time, because you're actually costing yourself a percentage point or two. And the reason being is it's just based upon how banks actually convert the money. So say if you are from India, going to Thailand, and you're using a credit card, pay for whatever the item is with your credit card in bahts, because what happens is the bank will then take the exchange rate, or the best exchange rate of the day, versus the exchange rate of that moment, which is not always to your favor. And again, I don't do the big fat, I don't take a lakh rupees and go to the bank and change it into a lakh's worth of baht anymore. I just arrive at the airport and get my $100 equivalent, which should just be enough for, say, 3-4 days. And when I need money again, I go find an ATM. I get another 2-3 days worth of local currency, and I just do it that way. Because in some ways, if I don't have all that cash in my hand, I don't spend it. So that's another way you could be spending, not spending money, but saving money. You don't have the cash, you don't spend it.
Mukul?
Yeah, I have a question. I was actually looking for a flight from New Delhi to Baltimore for the GovCon, and I found that there's option with good amount of layover time. So some flights are having less layover time, and some flights are having more layover time, like in Istanbul or somewhere. And if we go for higher layover time, then cost is lesser. So is it safe to get like up to 12 hours layover time to save on some money? And is it okay to have like a 12-hour layover like in anywhere airport like Istanbul? And will it be costlier to stay there 12 hours for food or something? Or it will be a good choice to be one day complete travel and save? The difference is also good. I think around 10-15,000 or somewhere more is also if you choose for higher layover time.
Yeah. Well, actually, Mukul, you mentioning Istanbul. Before Istanbul's new airport opened, Istanbul used to be one of my favorite layover airports, because the old Istanbul airport was so close to town that as long as you had about a 5-hour layover, that was actually enough time to go out, hop on the tram, go to the Grand Bazaar, get some amazing food, hop on the tram, come back to the airport, and still be on time for your flights. Now the airport is like, what, 2 hours, or at least an hour, if not 2 hours outside of Istanbul proper. So when you're looking at these long layovers, and it's something that I used to do, especially for Japan and Kuala Lumpur, and I even, my first trip to the Philippines was because I had an 18-hour layover in Manila. And it's basically, I arrived early in the morning. I had a cheap hotel. So I got a few hours of sleep, woke up, ate breakfast. I went and explored Manila, got my massage, got my shave, got my haircut, and I went back to the airport. So actually, these layovers are opportunities to have incredible adventures. But just know that if the long layover is to save you 10,000 rupees, is it going to cost you more than 10,000 rupees to be comfortable during that layover time?
Airport won't provide any facilities to the passenger who are having layover.
Only
Not
food, nothing.
really.
Not even
Really
food or
something.
accommodation.
No, it's just it's like waiting at the bus station. It's like once you're off that bus, forget it. You are completely on your own until you get back on the bus.
So
Yeah.
not a
I want
nice
to add here. I
option
want to
to
add
have a
here something.
layover to, or yeah.
Yeah, so like I love what Sana did in her Euro trip. So what she did, she chose like longer layover time and then took on the transit visa and went into the country and then moved around and then came back. So you can even do that because like if you are, if the layover is like 10 hours, it is kind of difficult because like immigration and all the security checks will take like 2-3 hours if the line is longer. So you don't have any time to explore the city. But if you have like longer hours, then you can get a transit visa and check that country as well. But if you are choosing layover in like 4 hours or 5 hours, you can still manage that. You can just wait there. But 10 hours or 12 hours is kind of difficult because there's a lot of security checks and then you have to go inside the city 2 hours, get out of the city 2 hours, and then there's the security check and it becomes risky. You don't have any time. So if you can choose, if a flight is cheaper for longer layovers, take that. If it's not, you can decide. But yeah, Sana did really, she had 9 hours, but at the same time, yeah, took the visitor, yes, beforehand. Okay, 9 hours. But like England and stuff, they are pretty fast, but other countries, I'm not sure. So you can choose that. Longer layovers will help, I guess.
I'm looking for only cost perspective to save some money, and if it is going to cost similar thing, I think then layover is not helpful.
Yes,
Well,
the airport food is cheap. Not cheap. So
yeah, but Istanbul does have some good eating options. But and actually, the new Istanbul airport does have some decent places to be able to sit and maybe even lay down. They're not like some of the old American airports with you might have 5 chairs, but you can only sit in one because it's got the armrest. But Istanbul's, especially around some of the food court areas, have got armless chairs that aren't too bad. And if it's just you, one actually not the premium lounge that everybody, not the premium lounge that everybody has, but Istanbul Airport does have its own premium lounge. That's like $50 per person for stay, but you know that's almost defeating the point of saving 10,000 rupees by having a long layover. Long layovers really can be a lot of fun, but it's because maybe it's that airport location is one that has quick access to the local area. But a long layover for Istanbul, I think it's worth it. Or even say like you get the chance to do say like you fly into Haneda, Japan, and you got to fly out of Narita. Well, that automatically is meaning you got like a 5 or 6 hour layover. But if your layover is closer to say maybe 8 to 10 hours, you come into Haneda, you hop on the train for like 20-30 minutes, you walk 10 minutes, and you go to an onsen, so you can like get your take a shower, go to the hot spring soak, get the massage, take a couple hour nap, and then you get back on the train, and then you go into the Narita airport. So different locations, the layovers are really worthwhile. For some, not so much.
Thanks, Pragyan. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
We actually like way past the time, but yes, we can take questions. But yeah,
sure. I'm cool, yo. I'm just watching all these amazing people watch incredible food or eat incredible food that I don't get to eat anymore. Oh well, I'll just have to make my own. Losing luggage, yeah, it happens. Eventually your luggage will show up.
Yeah,
I think airlines actually like yeah, go ahead.
I had an experience like that. I had to stay in the same clothes for 2 weeks.
Oh, What? My 7-Eleven or my convenience stores have disposable underwear, and some of them even actually have dress shirts. So you could have just gone to the grocery. You could have gone to the store and got some new clothes.
I'll tell you what, I was in Saudi Arabia. My first flight got delayed.
Oh,
So it was during the
okay, yeah.
Ramadan period. So no, there was no shops as such.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was on
Yeah,
holiday.
I can understand that. I think a decade ago I was cycling Borneo during Chinese New Year, and my buddy just had one too many flat tires, and I had plenty of spares for my bike, but not for theirs. And so we got stuck because the shops are all closed. All right. Well, anybody else got, let's see if I can, questions, gallery, thoughts, it's really been a pleasure to be able to share with y'all. Pragyan and I actually, been looking forward to this.
Yes. Yeah, it's really fun because there's this misconception that traveling is expensive. We just want to remove that myth so that it can be
Yeah.
expensive if it will be cheap if you can just remove a few luxuries that you cling to it, and then luxuries as in things that you don't need but you want. That's the thing. It's so if you can manage that, then it'll be cheaper, much cheaper.
Yeah, actually, since we got the time and y'all hanging around, I remember one of my first trips to Europe, and it was easily that 200, 300 euros a night. But later on, I actually got my costs down to be like 100 euros a week. And something that Pragyan and I think we'll agree upon is really the biggest expense is just getting someplace. And a way, besides once you get someplace, the way to keep the costs low, besides say the travel slow, as in go for the local apartment kind of thing, but it's also doing some form of volunteer work. And that was how I actually used to be able to get my costs below 100 euros a week. And it wasn't just me, I was with my wife. So yes, my wife and I would pay the 1,500, basically a lakh each for the round trip plane tickets to Europe. But once we got to Europe and we'd hop on the local trains, get to the little Italian towns that we're going to be at, the farmer comes, picks us up, and we live on the farm for the next 3 weeks. And the room and board is covered by the farmer, and I'm immersed in a local language. I'm eating incredible local food, and I'm getting to have these wonderful experiences that's being built up. And this is not stuff that you actually get to have when you're just walking the harbor or going to see the Mona Lisa. Yes, Mona Lisa is an awfully incredible painting, but you got to wait in a long line. But I'd rather be enjoying my fun food.
True.
All right.
Yeah. Dinner recently,
Changing the seats. Just being polite and asking the ticket agent to see what kind of accommodations can be done for you. Frankly, there's no reason to be getting mad at travel folks. They get enough stress from everybody else. And unfortunately, things happen. At least the plane was able to be changed and you got to go where you are going. Some places there might, the plane breaks, that's it. I've gotten stuck in Alaska during storms because they didn't hook up the generator to the plane and the plane literally froze. So, so sometimes you can go. Mukul is mentioning ChatGPT. These days, something that I am starting to do, actually for just on a whim, for planning my wife's and my trip to Portugal and Spain. I basically says, hey, what would be a unique experience for each, actually a unique romantic experience for each day of a trip between, say, Oporto, Portugal, along the coastline into Spain and then back. And actually, through basically having a collaborative conversation with ChatGPT, it actually gave me this really incredible itinerary that I'm actually quite looking forward to. And then I went on and translated it to Chinese, and then Juan shared it with their friends and like, hey, who's your travel agent? I want to go on this trip too. You know, how much is the package? So yeah, ChatGPT may not have the most current information, but that said, the model is up to date to January 2022 now. So you get like almost 4 more months worth of information in it. Yeah. Yeah, as long as the plane freezes on the ground. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Any final words, Pragyan?
No, like start traveling. That will change people.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I have had like really bad stammering, and now it's like much better, much better. So like the traveling gave me a lot of confidence that I don't care what you think about me, and then things changed. Yeah. Before I didn't have this confidence. So like things changed for me. So I got to explore a lot. I got to meet a lot of people who are doing amazing job. They're going everywhere. So like you get a lot of inspiration, and then things will start having the snowball effect, and then you can also help people. So yeah, start traveling.
I got to, with the travel, I just got to realize that life is so similar everywhere. Cultures might be different, but we all have so much commonality amongst us, and it really just helped me better understand not only other people but even myself. Really that being able to develop this self-confidence is really and just some incredible stuff. But really, thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time, giving us this chance to brag. I'm actually quite excited. I've got Manila for a wedding next month. I'm going to go visit my kids outside of Boston in November for their birthdays, and then in February is Portugal and Spain. So yeah, feel free to keep the questions coming along. We're happy to share things. And Sharayu, I guess, will release the recording. So with that, thank you so much, everyone. Have an incredible evening. See you at Ask Unker Anything.
Yes.
Bye. Happy
Take
weekend.
care.
Happy
Bye-bye,
Friday.
everyone. Thank you.